All right. Good morning, everybody. Jeremy Brunansky here. It is Monday morning. This is live right now on YouTube. We have got the green light, so we are going to jump right into this week's brand new episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We are going to talk about a lot of really nice things this morning as far as movie news, reviews, and more are concerned. So we have got just right at the top a couple commercials. So if you aren't, make sure you're following us right here on Twitter and on YouTube. So click the subscribe button if you're new, hit the bell so you get the notifications when new content drops. Because with the weekly show, we also drop movie reviews and movie trailer reviews. So you're not going to want to miss those. Be sure you're following along there as well. And then with Twitter, make sure you follow us there at brunanskysvlog, because that's where we do all the updates and everything else right there on Twitter. Now, we have got a couple things really quick just down below as we go through the news segment. We have got a lot of news stories that we're going to cover, and all of the articles that we're going to reference are down there in the description box. So expand the description box, and that way you can click the links if you want to follow along with us. Also down there is, if you are interested and you want to start your own YouTube channel, down there is below a list of items that I have placed down there for you to consider using to start your own YouTube channel. That's right. If you want to start your own streaming platform with Twitch, Facebook Live, or here on YouTube, I threw some recommendations down there, so check it out. And before we jump into the full board on this week's news segment, just want to send a shout out to my mom. It was her birthday this past weekend, so happy birthday, Mom. Hope you had an enjoyable birthday weekend. I know we had a lot of rain here in town, so hopefully that helped. So let's go ahead and jump right now into the news segment, and we will get this week's brand new episode started. All right, so there we go. We are running the ticker tape down below, so keep your eyes open on that. That is going to be some honorable mentions, and honorable mentions for those who are new to the show. These are just news stories that popped off that I found interesting, but we don't really have enough time to dive into them here with the show being only approximately 30 minutes. Now, this weekend, I was able to get out to the theater to see two films. Both of those films are going to be reviewed later, and those were Bad Times at the Royale, and Gosnell, The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer. So stay tuned for both of those reviews. Those are coming later in the show. But we are going to take a look at the weekend box office so we can find out what you guys were watching this week. We're going to take a look at the top 5, and we're going to go from number 5 all the way up to number 1, and we'll just kind of take a look and see what everybody was watching this weekend. So if you are interested, these numbers are coming to us from Box Office Mojo. Again, expand the description box below those numbers. That link is down there, and you can follow along as we go through them right here. All right, so coming in at number 5, we have Smallfoot at $9,300,000. Coming in at number 4, we have Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween at $16,225,000. Coming in at number 3, we have First Man at $16,500,000. And coming in at number 2, A Star Is Born at $28 million. And coming in at number 1, again, second week in a row, Venom with $35,700,000. So there you go. There's the top 5. Out of these 5, I am surprised that Venom is still in the number 1 spot. Last week, if you saw last week's show, you know I projected that this film was going to lose in the ballpark of 60% or more, right, from week 1 to week 2. I did not like this movie. I had a lot of problems with it. Tom Hardy's great in it, but just overall, the film itself didn't impress me. It didn't wow me. I walked out of the theater like, well, that was a movie. So I expected, even though it had huge numbers, I figured once everybody saw it and they got the bad taste out of their mouth, they'd go see something different. But apparently that was not necessarily the case, because it dropped only 55.5% from week 1 to week 2. Now, for those who are like, well, that's still a lot. It is still a lot, but let's put it into perspective, right? Let's go ahead and kind of stack it up against other films within that kind of comic book genre that are PG-13. So just real quick, and these are initial offerings, right? Because Venom, first solo movie. So we're going to take a look at other comic book movies, first time these characters ever had a big screen debut, and what their numbers were from week 1 to week 2, right? So here we go. We're going to start off with probably the most curious bunch to get their own feature film. Right now, not so weird, but when they were announced, super weird, right? And that was Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, rated PG-13, just like Venom. First time ever these guys were getting their own solo feature. Most people didn't even know who they were. So opening weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy made $94,320,883. In its second weekend, it dropped 55.3% down to $42,124,922. So just a little better than Venom from week 1 to week 2, right? Which is surprising because, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy, way better movie than Venom. Let's keep going. Suicide Squad, the first one, right? Now, obviously, we got some big star power names in this film. Everybody was excited to see Harley Quinn, right? So we got $133,682,248 opening weekend, and then it plummets 67.4% all the way down to $43,536,013 in its second week. So Suicide Squad, definitely not a great movie. Definitely has some issues in that third act, right? It kind of falls apart. The CGI is terrible. It looks like something out of like an early 90s movie, like something with like the Mummy or the Scorpion King. Just not great. And then we'll keep going. All right. So Venom actually did better than Suicide Squad from week 1 to week 2. Coming in at number 3 on the list, we have Ant-Man. So Ant-Man, nobody really knows Ant-Man either, right? I mean, you have to be a really big comic book fan, or you really had to enjoy the cartoons growing up to know who this character was. But Ant-Man, the only thing it had going for it was probably the star power of Paul Rudd and Michael Pena, right? Other than that, like, there wasn't much. The cast is really all they had going for it. Everybody in the cast was super good. And Michael Douglas coming in was like, wow, really? He's doing a comic book movie. And he works great, right? So that came in at $57,225,526. Week 2, it drops 56.5% to $24,909,332. So Venom again. Venom did better than Ant-Man from week 1 to week 2. And Ant-Man, again, way better movie than Venom in my opinion. But Venom had the 55 versus the 56 drop for Ant-Man. And finally, my personal favorite of the bunch, one of my favorite superheroes of all time, Doctor Strange, right? So when you have a movie coming out about a magician or a wizard, usually you can expect a certain pushback from certain groups in the media and everything else, right? But didn't really seem to be the case with Doctor Strange, thankfully. And Doctor Strange opened at $85,058,311 with a 49.5% drop from week 1 to week 2, pulling in $42,970,65. So out of the bunch, Doctor Strange did the best with week 1 to week 2 difference, right, of 49.5% versus Guardians of the Galaxy, which had a 55.3%. Suicide Squad had 67.4%. Ant-Man 56.5%. And we have Venom at 55.5%. So all of these first features, right, first solo features for these characters, they're all PG-13. They're all comic book movies. And Venom stacks up pretty well against them, surprisingly, because I just did not enjoy this movie at all. I thought it was pretty bad. But hey, you guys enjoyed it. You guys got back out to the theaters to see it a second, third time maybe. And apparently you told some of your friends, hey, you might actually like this movie, and they went and saw it. So great job to everybody who enjoyed this movie, kind of rallying up your fan base and getting them out to the theaters to see this film. Let's move on. Star is Born at $28 million. Coming in at number 2, not really surprising. I enjoyed that. My review for that is up on the channel in the review playlist, so you can check it out. I had some issues with it here and there, just as far as kind of the acting versus the performance aspect of it. I would have liked to see more of them, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper kind of interacting together more than watching them rehearse or perform. But overall, I really liked the film. Check out my review for more info. First Man and Goosebumps 2, surprising to see that those in their first week one of those didn't hit the top spot, right? Not so surprising about Goosebumps 2, because Goosebumps with Jack Black, that came out and that made $23 million plus. Goosebumps 2 comes out with $16 million plus. That's a difference of about $7 million. And so we have to kind of figure that maybe it's because it didn't really have the star power that the first one had, as well as the novelty. Oh, they're making a Goosebumps movie. Oh, Jack Black's going to be in it. They didn't really have that for the second one. So that could explain why it took the dip. I don't know. But First Man had some controversy, right? Damien Chazelle steps up to the plate, third feature, but this is like a big feature, right? And there's some controversy around it that happened. And unfortunately, that hit the media before the film came out, and I think it hurt it. When you're going to make a movie about an American hero, I think you got to kind of celebrate all that is, you know, America. What is the pride of America with the moon landing and everything else? You got to really embrace that. And unfortunately, I think with everything that came out about this film before it was released, that definitely put a hit on it. But let's take a look at his other films as well. So Damien Chazelle came out with First Man, La La Land, and Whiplash. Now, Whiplash, when it opened to a very minimal $248,313, so less than $500,000 initially. The domestic run, it made $13,092,000. I loved Whiplash. I thought Whiplash was great. As a drummer myself, I could relate to a lot of what I saw in that film with the bloody hands. You got to tape them up, then maybe you got to go buy gloves like I had to do so you could keep playing and wait for your wounds to heal up and your blisters and calluses and everything else. You know, I can remember hours just drumming, smack my face, get a bloody eyebrow, right? That movie was really powerful for me. I also had professors in college just like J.K. Simmons, and they were not pleasant either. So that movie was really powerful for me. I really liked Whiplash. La La Land, loved La La Land. I saw that movie a couple times in theaters. That opened to $4,102,091 total run, though. Just crushed at 151 million plus. And then First Man comes out at the top dog at 16,500,000. So with La La Land, though, it didn't really start making money until about week 8, surprisingly, because that's when it jumped into about the same amount of theaters that First Man is in right now, over 3,000 theaters. So Damien Chazelle continues to make these movies that continue to make more and more money. And as far as I can tell, so I haven't seen First Man yet, so I can't speak to that. But the first 2 films, great acting, great story, right? And then in the second one, great singing, right? And the colors and everything like that. The pageantry, let's call it pageantry, in La La Land, superb. Loved La La Land. So with First Man, I think the biggest hit to that was probably the controversy surrounding everything with like the American flag. But we'll have to wait and see how it does in the second week. Maybe people get out and they're like, no, actually, you should probably see this film despite the controversy. And we might see a pretty good second week for First Man. We'll have to wait and see. Just round out the top 10 really quick. A Simple Favor, number 10. The Hate U Give, number 9. House with a Clock in Its Walls at number 8. Bad Times at the El Royale, number 7. And Night School coming in at number 6. Out of the top 10, the one that really stands out to me that surprises me is The Hate U Give. And I haven't seen it yet. But what surprises me is it stayed in the top 10. And more importantly, it was added to over 200 theaters. So it is now in its second week. And in its second week, it jumped up over 200 more theaters. So what does that tell me? That tells me that the first viewings that people got out to see, they really enjoyed it. And what happened? Fox said, well, clearly this is a good movie. Clearly we're getting positive reception from it in early test screenings and everything else. So we should probably add it to more theaters now that the first round of folks have seen it and have enjoyed it. So that's what they did. They pushed it up over 200 more theaters so that even more people can see it. And I think it worked because it kept it in the top 10 for its second week, and it's a smaller film. So great job there with The Hate U Give. Haven't seen it yet, but again, like I said, just from the numbers, it looks promising. All right, so that is the weekend box office report. Leave your comments in the comments section below with your thoughts. Did you get out to see First Man? Did you see Goosebumps 2? Have you seen The Hate U Give? Leave your comments below and let us know. All right, we're going to move into the first round of news stories here. Now, the first round of news stories are a little different because it's going to be a collection of stories, right? So we're going to take a look at Marvel Phase 4 and kind of what can we anticipate, right? Because there's been no real official listing of films, right? Because Kevin Feige came out previously and said he feels like maybe Marvel had a misstep as far as announcing too many films, because that way people aren't focused on the films that are coming out in theaters. They're focused on what those films could mean for the films that have yet to come out in theaters. So he wants people, the audience specifically, to be able to enjoy those films and kind of be anticipated and excited for those films, which I think is smart. So they haven't really announced a Phase 4 per se, but they have announced, you know, some things as far as what actors are getting paid for what movies coming up, who's writing and directing new films, when does filming begin for certain films, as well as one big title they announced that they wanted to make. So let's talk about those real quick, because we have Captain Marvel coming up, then we have Avengers 4, and then we have Spider-Man Far From Home. And Spider-Man Far From Home, if you're online at all, you've been seeing some of the set photos from that of him and Zendaya kind of swinging around in a downtown scene. Looks pretty good. So if you haven't checked those out, those are online. You can check them out. You can find them pretty easily. Just Spider-Man Far From Home, new set photos. Should be able to find them. But what has been announced so far? So far, Benedict Wong has come out and says they're hoping to start filming Doctor Strange early next year, right? So Doctor Strange 2. So that gives us hope that for phase 4, we might be able to expect Doctor Strange 2, right? Also, they announced that Scarlett Johansson is getting a payday of a pretty good amount of money. I think it was like $15 million or something for a Black Widow solo film. So we can anticipate a Black Widow solo film finally after all these years, right? From 2008 to 2018, 10 years later, we're finally getting that solo film. So hopefully that's good. And also they've announced just this past weekend, we've got Black Panther 2, right? The writer and director is coming back. He is going to be doing Black Panther 2, which is not surprising. But what is surprising is kind of how is that going to work, right? Because most of the people in Wakanda were vanished in the snap. So how is that reversal going to happen to bring them back? Are they going to bring them back, or is it going to be like different versions of those characters? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see what Coogler's going to do with that. So we'll have to wait and see there. And then finally, they announced they wanted to make the Eternals, right? And that makes sense because Thanos is the son of an Eternal, right? So why not tie that into kind of everything that's going on already and kind of build out the world that exists right now? Does that tie in with Thanos have to be directly, does it have to have like a direct correlation? Not necessarily, but we do know that Thanos is the son of one of the Eternals. So there you go, right? There's the connection. It builds out the universe. We aren't sticking with the same characters. We're creating new characters to exist within a world that already exists, thus expanding and making bigger. So I think that's pretty cool. So Doctor Strange 2, right? Black Widow, The Eternals, and Black Panther 2. Now, these are all films we can anticipate for phase 4. But again, Marvel hasn't really released that full schedule yet. So we have to wait and see. But out of those films, out of those 4 possibilities for phase 4, The Eternals, Black Panther 2, Black Widow solo, and Doctor Strange 2. Let me know in the comments section, what are you most excited about? Because those 2 stories were both coming to us from The Hollywood Reporter. All right, let's go ahead and move into the last news story before we move into movie reviews. This is coming to us from Deadline, and this is Amblin has found Liberty Road scribes Widener and James for an adaptation of Michael Crichton's last novel, Micro. So if you aren't familiar with this book, I wasn't. I had to read through the article to figure it out. It takes place, in the article, it talks about how this is a Steven Spielberg passion project. But the concept, it's a high concept, and this is direct from the article. So click the link if you want to follow along. High concept thriller novel Micro follows a group of graduate students lured to Hawaii to work for a mysterious biotech company, only to find themselves miniaturized and cast out into the rainforest with nothing but their scientific expertise and wits to protect them. That sounds pretty cool, right? So you have this like Ant-Man, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of vibe, like where they're working for this company and then all of a sudden they're shrunk and they've got to figure out how to survive. So it's like the Predator movie with Adrian Brody, right? Where they're on the planet and they got to figure out how to survive just using what they have. Plus like an Ant-Man, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing. So I think it sounds really cool. I haven't written the book. It says that Steven Spielberg, this is a passion project for him, but in the article, it doesn't say if he's going to be directing this or not. It lists some of the producers like Frank Marshall, but it doesn't really say what aspect or what avenue Steven Spielberg is going to go to help make this film. So curious to see what is his involvement going to be beyond this just being a passion project that he finally got greenlit with Amblin, his company. But I think it sounds really cool, and I think it has a lot of promise, especially if you've seen Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp. The new technology they have for trying to make these miniaturized worlds come to life is super good. So I'm excited to see that, A, it's a Steven Spielberg passion project, because that gives me hope that this movie is going to knock it out of the park. B, you know it's going to have incredible special effects with Steven Spielberg on board to do this, right? So, and then C, we've already seen incredible special effects with Marvel Studios doing the Ant-Man films. So there's just a lot of promise already just based on the idea, based on the concept that they want to take from the book to throw on the big screen. So I'm pretty much digging this story. Let's just say that. I am digging this story. So let me know, did you read the book? What is the book like? Throw it in your comments section below. Let us know. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and we're going to try and stay on pace to hit that 30-minute mark today. And we are going to move now into the movie reviews. Again, this week I got out to see 2 movies, Bad Times at the El Royale and Gosnell, the Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer. So we're going to go ahead and jump into these reviews right now. Then right afterwards, don't go anywhere. because we're going to take a look at Certified Rad. We're going to take a look at what's hitting theaters and what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray, as well as there's a special anniversary for films, 2 films in particular this year that we're going to take a look at since it's almost Halloween. So stay tuned. We got lots more content coming your way, and we're going to roll into these movie reviews right now. The El Royale is split between 2 states, California and Nevada. Guests have the option of staying in either state, but yes, you should know that the rooms on the California side are more expensive. No matter which state you choose, something feels just a little bit off. So, does Bad Times at the El Royale deliver on these suspenseful thriller vibes hinted at in the trailers? Or should we stay at the Bates Motel once more instead? Let's talk about it in this review. The story begins by introducing us to the main characters and their general dispositions. However, as the story continues, we learn that that first impression was inaccurate because all of these characters have something to hide. Even the hotel has its own secrets, and this film wastes no time revealing those secrets to us, thankfully. And the actors in this film all do a really good job delivering these different personalities that all work together to help create this world that we're taking part in. However, there were 2 standout performances for me in this film, and those 2 actors who delivered those incredible performances were Lewis Pullman, he plays Miles Miller, the front desk attendant, keeper of the hotel secrets, and Cynthia Everett, who plays Darlene Sweet. I think what made Lewis's performance stand out above the rest is because going into the film, I didn't really know what to expect from him as an actor, and what I got from his performance was grade A. He delivers happy, concern, fear, regret, pain, sadness, and more. He is not the only actor in this film that has to give a performance that conveys a lot of different emotions, but he does run the gamut very nicely. Also, let's take a moment before we talk about this next actor to appreciate how this film's success really hinged on one actor's ability to sing. If her voice was not pure magic, this was going to be a very long and painful movie-going experience for us as an audience. And the actor with the magic voice is Cynthia Everett. There's scenes in this movie where she is just staring at the camera, singing to us, or she's walking back and forth in a room, singing to us, and her voice is pure magic. I was transfixed. An absolutely powerful voice, loved it. Both Cynthia and Lewis completely blew me away. Another interesting thing I noticed in this film was about 20 minutes into the story, I realized this could easily be adapted for live stage. For example, some of the scenes in this film just show a room with the actor kind of moving back and forth, doing whatever it is the actor needs to do in that scene, which is totally normal. But what was different about this was it's a wide angle shot. So as they're moving around the room, we aren't necessarily following them around the room from the camera's perspective. We're just kind of out in the audience like we would be from an audience perspective at a live theater show, kind of watching them move about the stage or move about the room. So there's this interesting aspect of like voyeurism that was added to this film because we're not necessarily in the room with them as they're moving around completing their blocking for the scene, but we're behind the glass, kind of watching into the room as they go about their moment in that scene. Also, this movie cuts back and forth between different actors, and if this was adapted for the live stage, I could easily see how while one actor is doing their bit that we see in the film, all of the other actors are doing their bits, similar to what we get from like Noises Off, where you see people coming in and going, and then it flips around and you see people behind the scenes kind of doing their things. This could easily be adapted to the live stage like that, and I think with that transition, it would actually lessen the runtime for the live show, which I think would be a benefit for this story. In all, I really enjoyed my time in the theater with this film, but towards the end of the second act, it starts to slow down, it gets a little bit long, the pacing definitely takes a hit. And in my opinion, this film is absolutely longer than it needs to be. The runtime clocks in at 141 minutes, which is almost 2.5 hours long. And one thing I think they could have done to help kind of tighten up the story and lessen the runtime is go through and cut some of the long monologue scenes during the flashbacks. For example, the super long monologue from the music producer. We could cut that way down, get to the point faster, and let's move on. Also, the robbery in the prison scene. We can cut that way down and lessen that, because by this point in the film, we have a really good idea of who these 2 characters are that we're doing the flashbacks for. We kind of understand what's going on with them because of all of the dialogue and all of the acting and all of the screen time we've gotten with these two so far by this point in this film. And finally, that flashback scene of Miles walking through the field of dead bodies. I thought we could go ahead and cut that completely. I do understand that it was supposed to be there to kind of help show some impact for the transformation that Miles is going to have towards the end of the film. But I think we kind of already got that feeling from the previous flashback, as well as everything that was happening in those scenes leading up to that transformative moment. Also, this might be controversial, but everything that happens with Emily, Billy, and Ruth, that whole storyline, by the end of the film, I felt like it was kind of unnecessary. It almost felt like it was this sort of MacGuffin in a way. So there you go, there's a few things that we could have go ahead and removed or just kind of lessened to tighten up the film, tighten up the pacing, and keep that runtime a little bit lower. And I don't think we would have lost any of the impact with those characters as well. Bad Times at the El Royale is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am going to recommend a big screen viewing of this film. If you like movies that have incredible actors in it, the cast feels stacked, and you enjoy those films that are big budget-ish but still kind of feel indie, and you also like films that deliver a lot of really great performances, this movie will delight you. Also, for all my fellow Parks and Rec fans out there are 2 cameos in this film that I think you will enjoy. It's not a perfect film, but the enjoyment I had watching this film was greater than the issues I had in it. So because of that, Bad Times at the El Royale is getting both high fives from this guy. Bad Times at the El Royale is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. The year 2013, and a man is on trial for murder. In this particular court case, he is on trial only for a handful of murders, even though there's reason to believe he is responsible for the death of hundreds, if not thousands, of human lives. The world was watching and waiting for the jury's verdict on this case. So, does Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer, paint an accurate portrayal of a high-profile legal drama, or is this big screen feature a small screen triumph? Let's talk about it in this review. In case you forgot or you were unaware, I'm going to give you just a really quick history lesson. Dr. Kermit Gosnell was a doctor in Philadelphia who performed legal and illegal abortions from 1972 all the way over until 2013, when he was found guilty of several charges, one of those being murder. At the time, abortion was legal. However, at a certain point, once enough time has passed during the pregnancy, any abortion that would take place past a certain cutoff point, that abortion would become illegal. Also, if a baby is actually born into this world and then killed, that's considered murder, which is still illegal. And that's how the butcher was brought to justice. He was found guilty of murdering babies that had been born, as well as several other illegal acts. And the movie does a pretty good job of handling such a sensitive topic without ever making the story feel like it's being sensationalized in any aspect. We get a glimpse into Dr. Gosnell's home, his clinic, his practice, his mindset, even his drug ring. In all, this film paints a really great picture of how sociopathic Dr. Gosnell was and possibly still is. We also get a very clear idea of how unsanitary his clinic was, as well as his home, because we get to journey through both with the local police department, the FBI, and the DEA. Some of the scenes were a bit graphic because we do actually get to find out and see that some body parts are being stored in jars, in bags, in little containers throughout the house and the clinic, as well as cats are running all over the place throughout all of this mess, eating the mice. In short, Dr. Gosnell's home and clinic were super gross and super dirty. Earl Billings plays Dr. Gosnell, and he delivers an absolutely chilling performance. He delivers his lines with confidence and calm and a smile, and as the movie goes on, we just see his character kind of floating through the story almost like a ghost. He appears soulless until those little moments where we see these little facial tics start happening on his face, as you can see him getting emotional inside, where he's trying to hide back anger or try and hide back rage. Just overall, great performance. Some of the other actors in the film, though, were hit or miss for me. Some scenes were great performances, and then the very next scene it would feel like a made-for-TV movie. So there was this odd back and forth of, wow, they're really going for it, and then what just happened? Where did the performance from the previous scene go? For example, Dean Cain plays Detective James Woods, and in one scene, he's frustrated. He's in the homicide department. He's having a meeting. He's slamming his hand on the door. He goes, "I'm sorry, I thought I was in the homicide department." Great performance there. But then in another scene later on, he's kind of hamming it up as he's trying to be the bad cop. So there are moments like that happen throughout the film with a couple of the other different actors that kind of made things feel unbalanced. And that could be due to the fact that Nick Searcy is a newer director according to his IMDb page. And to be fair, to his credit, we do get some really great performances from some of the other actors as well. For example, Serena Fiallo, Dominique Dion, Eleanor Threat, Paula Fairbrother, and more. And again, to the director's credit, the way that they handle such sensitive material in this film was admirable. In all honesty, I was nervous walking into the theater because I was expecting to have to kind of sit through some pretty gruesome scenes and things in those scenes, and I'm happy to report I didn't have any of that in this movie. They do, however, during the trial scenes when the lawyers are going back and forth, paint a very vivid verbal image of the process used for killing born and unborn babies. Surprisingly though, it worked. It felt appropriate for the scene that we were in with these lawyers, describing the legal process and everything like that to the jury. They never went for more than they had to really make it gross or anything like that. We understand the process and we aren't buried beneath a lot of gross facts that would make soft stomachs turn. And for that I was appreciative. Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer, is playing at your local movie theater right now. And if you enjoy movies that recreate real life events, and you can stomach some pretty gruesome and disturbing occurrences, I am going to recommend a big screen viewing of this film. We get some really strong performances from some of the actors, and unfortunately, like I said, we do get some of those made-for-TV moments as well. However, I didn't feel like this story ever decided to really get gross or to be over the top or campy. The story I felt was delivered with a serious tone, but still being respectful to the sensitive material that they wanted to cover. Plus, again, Earl Billings. He really brings the sauce as Dr. Kermit Gosnell from beginning to end. So, because of all of these reasons, Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer, man, that's a long title. It's getting at least one high five from this guy. Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer, is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. All right, there you go. There's the two reviews for Bad Times at the El Royale and Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer. Hope you guys enjoyed both of those reviews. We're going to jump right now into what's hitting theaters, what's on DVD and Certified Rad, because Long-Winded Jeremy has taken over and we are now past 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and jump into what's hitting theaters this week. This week we have Galveston, Halloween, and Can You Ever Forgive Me? Out of these three films, the one I am excited to see is Can You Ever Forgive Me? Since the first trailer, I have been just on board with Melissa McCarthy's performance in that trailer. Very much looking forward to this film to see what kind of performance she brings overall from beginning to end. I believe she's going to bring the sauce. I can't wait to see it. Galveston, it looks okay. I'm curious to see kind of if it delivers. I personally am a Ben Foster fan. I think that he is one of the best supporting actors in the business right now. Everything that this guy is in, he just elevates everybody else's performance around him. So I'm curious to see how this, being what I can recall recently is his second major feature. I'm curious to see kind of how it plays out. And Halloween, if you guys know me at all, you know I'm not really a horror movie guy, so I probably won't be making it out to the theaters to see Halloween this weekend. But definitely looking to Can You Ever Forgive Me? All right, on DVD this week, we have Whitney, Arizona, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Unfriended Dark Web. Out of these four films, I have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. Definitely recommend you guys check it out. The trailer for Arizona looks good. It looks like it's going to be like a dark comedy. Unfriended Dark Web, again, you know me. I am not a horror movie guy, so I can't comment on that. And Whitney, this is a biography. This did look pretty good, so I am curious to check this out now that it is available on DVD and Blu-ray. So there you go. Definitely see Ant-Man and the Wasp. Maybe check out Arizona if you want a possible dark comedy. But Whitney definitely looks super good as a documentary. So there you go there. All right. We are going to go ahead and talk about Certified Rad this week. And if you are new to the show, Certified Rad is just one thing. It could be a story. It could be a person. It could be a book or a piece of tech gear, whatever it is. You could send it to me. I could find it myself. It doesn't matter. I'll look it over. If it's rad, we certify it rad right here on this show every Monday. So this week for Certified Rad, we are going to be taking a look at one man who is doing the most not just for the people in the country, for the United States, but for United States citizens abroad. So over the past 2 years, we have seen 3 men come back from North Korean prisons. They were brought back home. They were brought back to the United States, an incredible accomplishment, not just for America, but for them, for their families, to actually have these men come home and be able to spend time with family and friends after being locked away in Korean prison camps. Not a great time, but now they're home. Super awesome. As well as over 200 bodies are being brought back for U.S. soldiers from the Korean War. They're coming home. We're going to be able to put them to rest here, and that gives their families some peace of mind, knowing that their families, their loved ones who died overseas protecting this country have not been forgotten, that they are still coming back home to get the service that they should get for protecting our country and going to battle for us here back home. And finally, just over the weekend, another great story dropped, and this one's coming to us, this news story, you can find it anywhere, but this one that I'm going to reference is coming to us from CBS News, and that is Andrew Brunson, the pastor who was in that Turkish prison. He finally got to come home as well. So say what you will about the president, the current president, if you like his temperament, if you don't. What we're looking at here right now is we are looking at a man who is not just committed to protecting the people here in this country, but he is committed to protecting the people that belong to this country, the citizens of this country, even when they go abroad, to make sure that they are still treated fairly. And if anything goes awry, we can come back home safely. So when you care about your citizens enough to not just look out for their well-being here in the borders, but as well as out when they're traveling, you can guarantee that that is certified rad. So there you go. Certified rad this week is all about President Trump's abilities to protect its citizens even when they are abroad. So great work there. Now, before we sign off, just wanted to touch base really quick on an anniversary that I was just notified about before this week's episode. I got an email from D23. If you aren't aware, D23 is the Disney convention, right? The Disney celebration. If you know me, if you're a faithful watcher of the show, you know I love Disney. I love everything about Disney. So I am a part of their fan club, and I get these emails from D23. And this morning I got one of them, and it was to celebrate, since it's October and it's Halloween, the 25th anniversary of Hocus Pocus and Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. Hocus Pocus was released in July of '93, and Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas was released October 13th of '93. So, excuse me. So happy anniversary to both Hocus Pocus and Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. I know I still enjoy both of those movies, and when I go to Disneyland over the Halloween period, I love that the Haunted Mansion is kind of reimagined into Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's super cool. I think it's super awesome. Love that stuff. Love going to Disneyland in general. But happy anniversary to Hocus Pocus, everybody involved, as well as Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas and everybody involved. All right, guys. Excuse me. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. This is another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Tickle in my throat here before we sign off. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We're already running a little bit longer than normal. We're closing in on 40 minutes. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you're still watching, appreciate it. We will see you guys next Monday at 10 a.m. PST right here on YouTube with another brand new episode. Hope you guys are able to get out to the theaters to check out some of the films we talked about. Excuse me again. If you enjoyed today's episode, give me the thumbs up, because a thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell. All right, everybody, I'm getting out of here. Again, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST. Hope you get out to see some movies, and until next time, and as always, good night and good luck. Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Brunansky with Brunansky's Vlog, and you've just finished watching another brand new episode right here on YouTube. Did you enjoy it? Oh, you loved it. Fantastic. Since you loved it so much, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications when new content drops. For example, I made a short film, and you can check it out right over there, and any other number of things, DVD reviews, movie reviews, etc. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST right here on YouTube. Take care. Bye-bye.